everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I am reviewing this Crochet Amigurumi animal kit, and it includes a plastic needle, some yarn, some stuffing, a crochet hook, and it lists plastic beads, but I think they meant like the safety eyes. I think that's just what they call them, is plastic beads. So anyway, let's open this up and see what it includes. So this kit my sister actually got for me. Dollar Trees here in Canada now sell everything for $1.75. So, well, most things anyway. There's the occasional item that you'll purchase and you'll find that it is cheaper than that, like $1.50. But most things are $1.75 now, which is kind of sad because I miss like when things used to be like $1.25. Because it used to be more true to almost dollar store pricing. Anyways, this kit came with the plastic needle, which is pretty small compared to most yarn needles, but surprisingly it worked fine for this. And then it came with a bunch of different yarn colors, and then a little instruction manual, which shows you basic stitches. And then the instructions on how to make the little donut. So I thought it was interesting because there was a typo. I'm pretty sure this was supposed to say khaki, and it reminded me of pants, which also then reminded me of in school we learned kuzi when I was in Chinese class meant pants. So I had to just add that into the video as a kind of funny thing. So I hope you like that little fact. So here is the instruction manual. It has some written instructions and then some photos. The instructions were a little bit confusing, but you kind of just have to read it and then by some parts of the instructions kind of figure out parts of it yourself. Like, it's not too hard. It's kind of like filling in the blanks because they seem to miss certain steps. Like, when they wrote to do 4 rows, it seemed like they only had written for 2, and so I was kind of confused. So here I just want to show like how long it took me to do the first part of the donut. So I showed you the time there, and yeah, so this is the bottom part of the donut, like the dough part. And surprisingly, this yarn was pretty nice to use. Like, I was surprised for a dollar store kit. Like, I thought I remembered in the past like not liking plastic crochet hooks, but surprisingly this yarn and then the hook itself I really liked using. Like, it seemed very easy and I quite enjoyed the process. The kit itself, I would say, would be probably easy enough for a beginner to make. So if you're a beginner crocheter, I think you could probably make this. This yarn weight is probably, I would say, like a light, like size 3 yarn. And the hook, I want to say the hook size might be a 3 as well. I'm not entirely sure. It's just a guess. The stitch marker was not included in this kit, but I did also purchase that separately at Dollar Tree in a little container of stitch markers. And you can also use, like, before I found these at Dollar Tree, I had purchased some, I think they were just called gourd pins, and I was actually using those for amigurumi because a lot of the amigurumi that I do is like with small yarn, and so I needed like small stitch markers. People also use like a little piece of thread or yarn, so you can do that as well if you like. And yeah, so this is me just counting. I had many times just made sure I had the right amount of stitches, because if you end up with like too many, then your project is going to become too wide. And it's important to have the right amount of stitches for this project because you're sewing this dough part to the icing, which is the top, like you're making two separate pieces and sewing them together. So if you have different sizes, it's going to be hard to sew them together because they're not going to line up the same. So here I was just showing when I'd done, so it took me about an hour to do the bottom, and sometimes I think I might just be a slow crocheter, to be honest, but that's just how long it took me to make this. It might be faster for you. So I think personally they should include a stitch marker in this. I believe this just is going in the round, like crocheting this, but if you don't want to have to count stitches, well, you should count them a few times, but if you don't want to have to count them for every row, it's actually easier on the stitch that you, when you crochet the first stitch, then put your stitch marker, and then you're going to end on, at the end of the row, you'll know that you've finished a row when you reach the stitch marker. So that just makes it a little bit easier, especially like if you're stopped or doing something else and then you go back to it, then you know where you're at. Also, the stitch markers are really helpful for holding your loop, like if you're in the middle of a project and you have to stop it for a while and you want to keep it in a bag or something. The loop that's on your hook, if you just put the stitch marker through that, it will hold your project until you're ready to use it again next, and then your project won't come apart. So yeah, I guess it didn't take me an hour to do the donut. It took me, I think, a little bit longer than that, because I think I did half. So half of the bottom of that donut was an hour. But honestly, sometimes I think I'm just a slow crocheter. But let me know in the comments, how long it takes you to make a small amigurumi project. And also, I just want to mention, normally I like to work I don't technically prefer smaller yarn, but I use a lot of crochet cotton just because it's a little more eco-friendly in my opinion, and I find a lot of it easily at the thrift store, and so it's affordable because I can find a lot there for like really cheap. So I end up making a lot of amigurumi with that, and so I might be not the best person to review this kit to say it's decent yarn, because crochet cotton doesn't glide as well as this yarn does because it's acrylic, but I found it really nice to crochet with. So maybe I'll have to try crochet cotton with a plastic hook. Maybe that would make it a little easier for me. So now I'm doing the icing. The yarn that came for the icing was pink. So you're just repeating the same pattern you did for the bottom. You're doing that for the top as well. And then after that, they'll be sewn together. And there's other kits also at the Dollar Tree if you're wanting to try and learn crochet. I would definitely start with this one, I think, just because of the shape and that you're just sewing the two pieces together. I think this would be the easiest for a beginner, so if you're just learning, I would definitely start with this one. I also want to mention I ended up with a lot of extra yarn at the end of making this, so I don't know if I just crocheted this wrong, or maybe it was just they give you extra in case your tension is looser or tighter, because that can use up more yarn if you have a tighter or looser tension. But I thought maybe I could make another donut with the other one, so I might have enough to make another like smaller donut or like another full-size one. I'm not entirely sure. And then they give you so much stuffing, like it was crazy. Like I still have like a big fluff of the stuffing because it seemed like it was tightly packed into the little bag that it was put in. And so when I pulled it out, it just like seemed to expand, and so there was so much stuffing in there I was like, oh, I'll have enough for some other projects, because I do my other little amigurumi projects they don't actually take up much stuffing, so I figured I'll have a good amount for some other projects. I'm sorry about the lighting here. I just realized how bad it was. I was like, it's not going to be the greatest compared to how it was before, but I didn't realize it was this bad. So I will see if I can turn on the brightness or something while I'm editing, if that's even possible. I'm not even sure. So if it does look brighter when you're watching this, it's because I figured out how to turn up the brightness. But when I did this part, I ended up being a different location because I had run out of storage, and then by the time I picked this up again, I wasn't crocheting in the same area. So I think this was later at night, so it did end up being darker. And so I guess it did get a little bit brighter over time. Anyways, I appreciate all of you guys that watch my videos, and I am curious what kind of videos you guys like to watch. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below what kind of videos you'd like to see that are related to things that I post on my channel here. And do you guys like long form videos like this? Like, this video actually originally was an hour and a half, so I did have to cut it down quite a bit. So that is why it's sped up a little bit, because I figured I don't think anyone's going to want to watch an hour and a half video. So please let me know down below in the comments if you guys like these time-lapse videos, if you guys want like a full time video, but they would be like an hour and a half, or maybe an hour. It depends on what I'm making, honestly. Or if you guys like these time lapses or just crochet with me videos. So here I had put the eyes on, and now I am just putting the pieces together. I originally had sewed it wrong because I thought I was flipping it inside out after or something like that, but then I realized no, I'm not. So what you're doing for this part is you're going to put you're going to have one right side on the outside on the top, and then your other right side will be facing outward on the bottom. So you're going to have wrong side to wrong side on the inside, because this isn't traditionally going to be turned like sometimes you would do in sewing. So this is me doing whip stitch. This is the stitch you want to use for this project, and I'm sorry that this wasn't lined up super well. I was struggling trying to show this on camera, so I did a few stitches here, and then the rest I did off camera because it was just really hard to do this sewing when I was on camera, because I couldn't fully see what I was doing. So make sure when you're finishing off the pink part of your donut and the brown part that you're leaving a long tail, because I didn't, and I had to add a piece on there, and it works fine, but it just kind of would get stuck sometimes because of the knot when I was sewing it. So this is how I did whip stitch, and then I just sped it up and then did some, oh, maybe I didn't do some off camera. I think I might have. Okay, so now I am adding the stuffing, and then just doing whip stitches on the outer part. So you want to make sure you leave a long pink tail on the inside and a long pink tail for the outside, because you're going to whip stitch around, and it's easier if you just leave a long tail for sewing, so you don't have to try to attach one, because that can sometimes look messy. But yeah, so I did some whip stitches, and then I just added some stuffing in a little bit as I went. If you sew a little bit of whip stitches first, then you kind of have a little pocket that you can stuff the stuffing in, which makes it a little bit easier and it holds it better. So that is basically the extent of the crochet donut. I just finished whip stitching, and then I kind of just weaved the yarn back in so that it kind of held on the inside. And yeah, overall I thought this was actually a pretty decent kit. Like, for $1.75, it's not bad, and you're probably not going to find anything cheaper for a little crochet kit. I mean, unless you go to the Dollarama or something like that. But I mean, even they're not like this cheap. So if you're looking for something to just, maybe you want to give it as a stocking stuffer, or my sister gave it to me in my Easter basket. Maybe you want to just give it to someone, or maybe you want to buy it for yourself just to see if you like crocheting or you want to try amigurumi. I would definitely recommend this, because then you're not spending a bunch of money on supplies and then deciding later, oh, I don't like this. So if you just want to try it out for the first time and see if you like amigurumi, or you want to keep doing amigurumi, this would be a good starter project. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe down below. And I hope to see you in my next video. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.